Hello guys, so welcome to my new video, and today we'll be looking at the world first race, and that is Restless Cabal. We'll be seeing the world first guilds getting that kill and exploring the different raid stacking classes for healers, stacking classes for ranged DPS, because guess what, this boss is really good for ranged DPS while it's really bad for melee DPS. And if you're looking to progress this boss at higher end content as a melee, start gearing your Warlock or a Shadow Priest, and we'll talk about why they're good. I'll provide a little overview of the boss mechanics so people will know why are these classes so good, why are they stacking Shadow Priests, why are they bringing Warlocks, why is Discipline Priest so good. But first of all, let's look at the world ranking for the boss skill right now, and Pieces got the world first, and congratulations to them. Pieces have been day raiding for the last couple of days, I think, and I think they'll be day raiding for a little while. But Pieces is actually substantially, or at least will be regarded as more of a casual guild in terms of the world first guilds who raid like every day for 2 weeks or whatever. So it's nice to see Pieces to get the kill, because they don't have as much time, or at least they might not have as much time to spend as other guilds. Limit got the world second. Limit will most likely won't be raiding that much. I've heard that people that they don't have enough people, that some people have to go back to work and things like that. So I'm not sure whether Limit is gonna get the second boss down, but it'll be very interesting to see. Vodka's got the world third, and that is very cool. We'll look at them as well. Metal got the world fourth, and the world fifth came in to Exorcus just right now, and we'll look at their class compositions and things like that. But before we look at the class compositions, let's understand what makes this boss so cool, actually, because I actually think this boss, mechanically wise, is really excellent. DPS requirement is very tight, and rage timer is 8.5 minutes. It used to be way shorter in PTR, but obviously Blizzard didn't want this boss to be a pushover, so they made it much tighter. So that's what forcing a lot of guilds to stack Shadow Priest, stack Warlocks and things like that, and also certain mechanics like dispelling and things like that is really important. But overall, I'm happy to say that this boss wasn't a complete pushover. So first of all, let's look at why this boss wasn't a complete pushover. So this is my video, or as a guild we've been progressing the first boss a little bit. So this is a very entry level kind of, you know, first couple of tries, nothing's really perfected. But you'll notice in this video, you'll notice the grid 2 frames that I have, and you'll notice this magic debuff that everyone has, and maybe you can see the stacks that they also have. So this is called Promises of Power. This is exactly the same debuff that you get in Shrines of the Storm at the last boss. What it does is basically increases your damage every tick or every stack and reduces your HP. So at 9 stacks you will have like no HP, anything will one-shot you, but you will be dealing a ton of damage. So guess what? Optimizing this debuff is what's going to get you the kill. This debuff, or how you play about this, is going to be the #1 reason how you get the kill. And rage is really tight, and you need to optimize every single DPS as you can. So people will get this buff, you can control it, you can decide who is going to get it at certain points. You'll get 9, or at least at max, you'll get 9 stacks. As a healer, you will have to dispel these, depending on what strat you go. So you will notice that in a couple of seconds it's going to be Crushing Doubt. So 2 people got selected for Crushing Doubt. They're marked as red on my grid frames. They need to run out of the raid as fast as possible, because they're going to explode and they're going to be dealing a ton of damage. Now, you'll notice that the people who have the magic debuff, the Promises of Power, they're going to get one shot because they have like 90% less HP. So how do you cheese this? This is why a lot of people bring Discipline Priests, because you can use Rapture at this stage. Rapture is going to make your Power Word Shield extremely strong, and you can Rapture certain people. You can use Absorbs, Resounding Protection, Azeroth trait is really strong. If you want, you can use Holy Paladin, Devotion, Aura, and things like that. Now, we didn't really do this at the start because we're just progressing very early stages. So what we do is that we dispel them. First of all, the people who get Crushing Doubt, they also have Promises of Power debuff on them, so they need to be dispelled, because Crushing Doubt is going to be doing ticking damage to them, so they will probably die because they have 2 debuffs on them. So as a healer, I will dispel one of them. Keep in mind, if I had 9 stacks of Promises of Power, which reduce my HP by a lot, when I dispel people, other people who have Promises of Power, I take a substantial amount of damage. So I would probably get one shot. So this is why it's important as a healer to either not take the Promises debuff, or if you are taking it, make sure that you dispel yourself before dispelling other people, because you're going to get one shot. This is why mass dispel, like some people might be like, hey, maybe Shadow Priest can just mass dispel every single debuff every single time. You can't really do that, because every single dispel is gonna do a ton of damage to you. So if you get 3 or 4 people in your mass dispel, you'll most likely die. So this is why a lot of people have this misconception about mass dispelling everybody. This is why they bring Shadow Priest. Basically, if you're a Shadow Priest, you'll be mass dispelling yourself only, and you'll be trying to optimize the uptime of the Promises of Power on yourself. You don't have to rely on a healer to do it. So you'll notice right now here, there's 12 seconds or something before there's going to be a massive AoE damage. Like I mentioned, as a guild, we decided to dispel, assign healers to dispel different people. So I have to dispel the Demon Hunter right here. I'm going to dispel him the last possible second, because I want that Demon Hunter to have maximum DPS potential. You'll see that Crushing Doubt is about to expire, so I'm going to dispel right now. So the Demon Hunter is safe. You'll notice that the Warlocks here did not dispel themselves in time, and they end up dying. Again, early stages, people are making mistakes and things like that. There is multiple ways to optimize this. So you know, basically, this is the core mechanic of the boss fight, optimizing that debuff. So like I mentioned before, you can cheese this quite a bit. If you had, like, for example, Discipline Priest, Luminous Barrier could be used here. Maybe Barrier by itself if people stack together. I mentioned before, Devotion Aura and things like that can be really strong. Rapture can be really strong. This is why people are bringing Holy Paladins. This is why people are bringing Discipline Priest in this fight. This is one of the best ways of increasing your damage, optimizing your debuffs. Outside of that, you also have a lot of kind of micromanagement with ads. You'll notice that there's multiple ads here. You can notice there's a little kind of icon above this ad. These ads need to be interrupted. At least it has to be a quite complex, you can say, interrupt rotation. You can notice here that this weak core is actually glowing right now. I need to interrupt this ad at the very, very last cast. So again, not only there is micromanagement with magic debuffs, there's also micromanagement with interrupts. And also you have to optimize your DPS at the same time to reach it. So let's look at the raid composition. So this is Pieces Guild, the world first guild who got the kill on Restless Cabal. And they were going, again, rated.io spec, or the way they display specs, is completely broken right now. They did not bring a Resto Druid. This was a balanced Druid. They did not bring 3 Discipline Priests. They had 2 Discipline Priests. One of the Elemental Shamans was actually a Resto Shaman in this case as well. And the same kind of deal with Limit. They had 2 Holy Paladins. They had 2 Discipline Priests. They had a Resto Shaman. And kind of similar with Vodka. 2 Holy Paladins. 2 Discipline Priests here. This was a wrong by Rated.io. And this Elemental Shaman was actually a Resto Shaman. It just didn't register properly. So this is the kind of healing composition that people are going with. You'll notice that DPS wise, everyone's going Shadow Priest, kind of Warlocks, no melee in sight at all. I mentioned before, it's kind of like a multi-cleave target fight. It favors dot classes. There is priority targets on this as well. The bosses don't share HP, so you kind of want to prioritize a certain target while cleaving the second one down. You don't want both of them to reach a certain percentage, because they will activate certain boss mechanics and they can overlap and they can really wipe the raid. But this is why certain guilds were running with a lot of Elemental Shamans, because Elemental Shamans are really strong at single target right now. Plus they have a short interrupt as well, which makes it easier. But why are they bringing so many Shadow Priests? Why are they bringing so many Warlocks? They can dispel themselves. Shadow Priests can actually dispel themselves with Mass Dispel if they're within the circle. And believe it or not, Warlocks have a magic dispel as well, Sin's magic, which they can use. They can optimize their Promises of Power debuff. They can pump out as much damage. They don't have to be reliant on a healer to dispel. So this is what is really, really pushing Shadow Priests and Warlocks in this fight. Plus they provide really good damage, especially when there's multiple targets. So overall, it's not that Shadow Priests are insanely overpowered in this game. It's that Blizzard keeps making these fights that fit Shadow Priests or dot classes so well. Like I mentioned before, the healing consensus, I think right now the base or healing base that's being kind of cemented is that 2 Holy Paladins, 2 Discipline Priests, 1 Resto Shaman, maybe 3 Discipline Priests, 1 Holy Paladin, 1 Resto Shaman. Why Resto Shaman? Because Resto Shaman is a complete support healer, and this is going to be very interesting for majority of people who are watching this video who might not know enough about Resto Shamans, is that this is actually a Resto Shaman for vodkas, but it didn't register properly. Resto Shaman is a support DPS / healer. They will bring a Resto Shaman who will go with 3 Igneous potential traits. They will Flame Shock on both of the targets. They will use Lava Burst on cooldown, and they will heal when healing is needed. They will use Spirit Link when it's needed. They might use Ascendance when it's needed. So they will do like, I don't know, like 15, 17k DPS, and they will provide a good amount of burst healing when needed, raid cooldowns, Tremor Totem when the fear is coming out, Battle Rest Totem if someone's going to fail. So Resto Shaman is a healer right now, and this is not something new. In Battle of the Zal, Lower Mythic Jaina, the exact same concept was there as well. If you're not sure whether you need to bring a 5th healer, you might not want to bring a pure healer. You'll bring a Resto Shaman who will DPS with Igneous potential, and it will off heal when needed. So this was basically used by nearly every single guild that killed this boss, and Resto Shamans are turning into the support role. Overall, this was my overview of the first boss. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see a similar video done for the second boss. Let me know how you feel about this Resto Shaman support role. Are you sad to see so much class stacking? I'm sure the boss is going to be nerfed soon enough in terms of HP, so you don't have to class stack Shadow Priests or Warlocks. Again, the boss fight really fits them. Any DPS that has a reliable self magic dispel is going to be very, very strong for this particular fight. Are you sad that melee are basically being pushed out of mythic scene right now? All of these terrific melee players are being forced to play Warlocks or Shadow Priests. Let me know, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next guide.